Hello, hello. I guess it's safe to say that we're live. It is 7 o'clock on the dot. I hope you all have had a fantastic day. Today, or rather tonight, is going to be a little bit more structured, more so than usual. We're going to be talking about vision. Yes, vision. What does scripture say? Write the vision and make it plain. So welcome to those who are new, those who are just now visiting, those who have come in for the first time. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for being a part of the conversation. Again, this is a little different from normal. We're going to be a little bit more strategic in the way that we go about talking about vision because I wanted to make this a little bit more insightful, a little bit more perspective changing, because I know we talk about having vision and wanting to do great things in the new year, but slowly but surely that starts to wane off, especially when it comes around March. We make those New Year's resolutions, we do all of those vision board parties, and next thing you know, where has that landed? It's landed nowhere. It's a poster or it's a notepad sitting behind somewhere that you forgot was there until maybe you move or maybe you do spring cleaning. And then you're like, oh yeah, I did write this out. But I'm hoping that this evening will bring about a little bit more enthusiasm to maintaining that goal or that vision into this year and moving forward. Now, mind you, a vision statement or a vision or purpose statement does not have to stick with you for the rest of your life. It evolves because as you grow and evolve as an individual, it does the same thing. So be sure to use this as a working vision, but something that you work concretely, that you communicate with others. And again, that's what this evening is all about. So as people come in, I will acknowledge you as I see you. If you want to share insights or comments, feel free to do so. Again, I am doing the dual role of multitasking between YouTube and Facebook Live. So again, as people come in and join the conversation, again, I'll acknowledge you. As I raise some questions, feel free to chime in the comments, and I'll do my best to address them. So we're going to get started and talking about vision. Again, if this is your first time here, welcome. And I look forward to you continuing to be a part of the conversation. I do have notes. I did intentionally plan this out. I know in past conversations, my planning was more in a perfectionist mindset, but this time around, it's intentional because I intend to talk about vision and I want to make sure that I'm communicating well with sharing about vision. And for those who did register, thank you so much. I was able to send out information last night, and it looks like this. This is the first page, and I've taken some notes and written on it. It's about what we're talking about this evening, which is vision, and basically how to develop your vision and what it looks like to communicate it with others. Because if you develop it, you write it out, and you don't share it, it really has no feet. It doesn't have movement. It doesn't have a trajectory. It's an arrow without an aim. So I made this intentionally for those who registered. If you want this documentation, please feel free to touch base with me. And you can complete that registration form. At a later date, it'll still be available that you can do that. And then I can forward you this information. The back of it looks like this, where I give folks steps on how to lay out what it looks like to get to your vision, identifying your reality, and then coming to your vision here. But we'll talk about that shortly. I do want to give some kind of insights on vision and what that looks like, and then also ask you a few questions about your vision. So, assumingly, most of you probably have not or have had in the past written a vision. And my question is, why have you not written it as of yet? I know the new year has just started, but what has kept you from writing that vision? Feel free to share in the notes, but I will speak on myself as I wait for people to chime in to the question of why have you not written your vision as of yet? And me, I would say fear, because when you write something down, it makes it a little bit more permanent. It makes it stick a bit longer. I'd say fear of not being able to fulfill it, of not being able to commit to it, fear of it actually happening and me being overwhelmed with the idea that, oh my goodness, it's happened. Hey, Sherelle. Hey, Bill. Welcome to the conversation. Another reason why I haven't or had not written a vision prior to this, or a vision statement prior to this, is because of perfection. I wanted to be perfect. I wanted it to be just right. I wanted to be like key and spot on to what I wanted the rest of my life to look like. But as I said before, a vision evolves over time. It's good to have something down to have put in place, but it definitely evolves and changes as you grow and develop. For other people, it's the uncertainty of a vision, or follow through of the vision. It also can be comparison. I know as I was writing my vision, as I'm sure a lot of people do, they look at examples to see, okay, how can I format? At least that's my, again, recovering perfectionist coming in. How do I format it? How do I outline it? What is it supposed to look like? Is there a formula to it? I always look for formulas. And so that might be another reason why people don't create a vision, because they're comparing themselves to other people and they don't feel quite up to the task of a vision. But when you really think about how valuable having a vision is, or having a vision statement is, we would probably make it more important or make it a priority to fulfill. So just keep that in mind. When you want something to come to pass in your life, you make it a priority. So think about it that way. If you see yourself far off doing something really great, making an impact, influencing others, and being a change agent, why not write that down now so that your eye is still focused on that end result, right? Okay. When you think about vision, it doesn't have to be a big, huge thing. You can start off small. A few weeks ago over the holiday, me and my family, we talked about having a word for the year. And mine was strategy, as well as fulfilling my full potential. So you can start off with that. I want to be strategic with how I am connecting with people. I mean, I know that can be fake in by that means, but strategic with, let's just say, who I'm networking. If I'm networking with, if I am interested in a particular role or interested in developing a particular skill, I want to network with certain people so that I can build that skill and work that skill in my life. So having strategy is definitely something I want to continue. It was something that I communicated to others, was my word for, I think, 2018, strategy and purpose. And really, quite frankly, that has kind of trickled down now into 2020, because I feel there's more to do with that. And same thing with the vision, that has grown with me, because as I build more strategy, as I build more insight into things, I've grown with me and it's evolved. Hey, Gal Mom, welcome to the conversation. Okay, so as I mentioned, like a few episodes ago, like with my family, if you don't mind sharing, you've probably had some time to think about it from the last conversation. What was your word for the year? Feel free to chime it in, write it in, and let me know what that is. Alrighty. Before we actually get started with the worksheet. What was your word for the year? Word for the year. Okay. Alrighty. So, as I mentioned earlier, I'm so glad that you are in this conversation with me. I'm so glad that you've taken the time out of your evening to participate. And again, we're doing this workshop to help you to develop your vision, or at least a working vision, and at the same time help you to communicate it to others, because as a leader, we all are, I believe, leaders. If not anybody else, we're leading ourselves. If you have a family and you're the head of household, you're leading your family to something. And so as leaders, we need to be able to effectively communicate that vision we develop so that it has feet, so that it moves, so that it walks. My godmom said, this is the year of grind for her. I like that. Grind. Yeah, I would say that for a lot of people. A lot of people are tired of the same old, tired of the mundane, and they want to get moving into something bigger and greater. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, so I do want to read the top of the worksheet for those who may not have it in their hands. And for those who have it, you can feel free to follow along. So leadership starts with you. In order to lead others, as I mentioned, you must lead yourself. A leader is an initiator of action. The first step to initiating action for yourself or to compel others is to create a vision. The first step, Scripture confirms the truth in Habakkuk 2:2-3. A written vision, it's not verbatim. A written vision should be concise, understandable, and easily implemented. In short, a vision is a promise to fulfill a goal with strategy. My question to you is, do you trust yourself with that promise? I saw a meme a while ago in 2019. I saw a meme that mentioned, if you had a list of people that you can put down that you can trust, would your name be on that list? And I had to really think about it, because it's like, ooh, I wouldn't trust myself with a bag of cookies, or rather a bag of chips, to not eat them sometimes. So I can only imagine if there's something big or great, like, can I really trust myself to fulfill that? And the same thing with this vision, which is why it's so important to communicate it with others. Because if you don't communicate it, it stays with you. And for someone like me who's motivated very much so externally, it's hard for me to get into action or initiating action for there to be movement with that vision. Okay, so one thing I wanted to reiterate from what's shared on the worksheet is that there are 3 components to reflecting on a vision and your development process. And I want you to think about each of these components and meditate and reflect on them. So if you had an opportunity to do so, great. If you haven't, that's perfectly fine. You can utilize and rewatch this video to help kind of sink those questions in so that you can really think about and reflect and give good, real truth to the vision that you're developing. So I start off with personal development. And personal development is how can you enhance the areas of strengths, skills, and profession to expand your potential. So that mostly looks like your career, again, your personal development. The strengths are what you're naturally good at. So what can you do at the drop of a hat and just do it really, really well? What is that for you? What skills or things that you can do to cultivate and enrich your life? So for some people who have not used computers a lot, I know that that's very rare, for example, but I'm going to go with it. If you want to build your typing skills, or for some people who don't type as fast because they're doing more labor work and they want to build their skills in typing, that's a tangible skill that you can continue to grow and develop. Someone who wants to build a skill of communication or and that reminds me, I was looking back at some of my videos and I said a lot. So y'all help me with that. I'm going to try to pause whenever I communicate something. So yes, skills. We're talking about skills. What do you need to cultivate and enrich certain things in your life? So let's think. My writing skills, I might want to write more often to build those skills, or even take a class on writing to cultivate that skill in me. And I might not be naturally good at it as one of my strengths, but it's something that I can build and grow in. And then you have your profession, like what fulfills you, what makes you tick, what makes you wake up in the morning and like, man, I can't wait to do this. I said, again. I think Toastmasters is a really good place to be able to develop your communication, your persuasion skills, your presentation skills. See, there you go. Now I'm very cognizant of it. Then you have your life components, and particularly in the worksheet, I break these up into family, social life, health and wellness, spiritual, financial, and career. And I ask you to put these in percentages so that way you can tell me exactly how important each of these elements are in your life. And I ask you to use these life components in alignment with your authentic self. And your authentic self are your dreams. What would you regret not doing, seeing, or creating if yesterday was your last day? What would you regret? If yesterday was your last day or today was your last day, what would you regret doing, seeing, or creating? Those are dreams that you have inside of you. And then you have your interests. What do you enjoy doing? What elevates you? What can't you live without? I'm trying to think my interests. What can I live without? I would say nature. I very much love nature, and not necessarily the bugs and stuff that's in it, but it's nice to particularly be around water. I love being by water. It feels so peaceful, so refreshing, and it just really gives me a calm about what I'm experiencing, my day. And so that's one thing that I can't live without when it comes to things that I enjoy doing, what my interests are. And then what's in need of your most attention when you're thinking about your life components. So does your family take up a lot of your attention? That has to do with your authentic self. That has to do with what you truly are connected to, are involved with, like I said, your dreams and interests, that component. So you have personal development, you have your authentic self, and then you have life components. So on that worksheet, I challenge you to dig into this a little bit deeper, examine those specific points so that you can help yourself develop a reflective vision of how you want to go about living your life and doing so well. And I wanted to note that a vision can apply to the present, meaning right now, as you identify steps toward achieving that vision. So the steps that you're working towards getting to that vision that you're writing now is activating it now. It's a part of the present. It's something that you plan and intend on working towards in order to get to that vision. A vision can also be future oriented in that it's to be fulfilled, or that it is fulfilled once you get to a certain place where that vision comes to life. Okay. All right. So with the worksheet, for those who have and were able to complete it, I ask you to write your vision in 30 to 40 words or less. And then I'll ask you to allow yourself to visualize or paint a picture of your life 5 to 20 years from now, because it's hard to think of a vision right now at this moment of what life would be like right now, because that is your reality. It's not necessarily a vision because it's taking place right now. However, if you think 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, that's more so a vision. It's foresight into the future. It's looking intently beyond where you're at into the next thing. So be sure to go ahead and do that and process that for yourself. Again, go back and look at some of those personal development pieces, your authentic self, as well as those life components that contribute to your personal vision. Okay, and moving right along with this, I wanted to share with you my personal vision statement, and that is to be an influencer, agent of transparency and vulnerability, one that helps others restore their purpose and build strategies toward reaching their greatest potential. So that is my vision. And that vision holds true to me because I really want to influence others to do better, influence others to achieve more, influence others to reach their greatest potential. And whatever that might be, I believe that is my role to do so. And I want to do it with transparency. I want to be able to share. I want to be able to be open and honest and communicate how my experiences have got to where I am now. And hopefully that's a platform, or that's a leg up for the next person to say, you know what? She did it. Or rather, maybe she was the exception for this particular thing happening in her life, but why can't I be an exception for this thing happening in my life? And so also incorporating that vulnerability. I know vulnerability is coupled with shame a lot. And I'm not sure if you all are familiar with Brene Brown. I would encourage you all to read or look at some of her content. She is a phenomenal woman. She has a doctorate in social work, and she's done a lot of research on shame, vulnerability, rejection, so many things, wholeheartedness, and being completely whole. And that has a lot to do with your ability to create a vision. If you don't know your purpose, if you don't know who you are and the depth of who you are, then it's really difficult to establish a vision. And yes, you can create a vision without really understanding the depth of who you are, but it's a little harder to do that. And you can kind of backtrack, because a lot of people can get a lot of information and understanding about who they are by writing out a vision and say, you know what, I really do like this. I really do value these areas in my life, or I really have these interests that I never built on. Wow, this is who I really am. And sometimes situations, circumstances, people, places, your history can redirect you from a place that you thought you were, or who you thought you were. And now you're like, oh, that's not who I am. These people or that situation has influenced my trajectory in life, and I need to come back to myself. And so that's what looking at that, personal development, authentic self, and those life components will help you to get back to a reflective place to help you settle into, okay, this is my vision. This is my plan. This is how I'm going to move forward. And then I'm going to write it down, and I'm going to share it with others so that they keep me to it. And if I need to change it because it evolves, then I can change that, and I have the power to do that. Hey, Lena, thanks for coming in and watching and being part of the conversation. So with that being said, I wanted to present another area for you to develop and exercise. And with that, I'm going to go back to the worksheet. And it says, according to David Ferguson, he's a pastor and author, vision is the distance that exists between the reality of what is and the possibility of what could be. And so I have created a reality vision timetable, and basically it's a series of boxes where I put in the first what's going on in your life, what is happening, and then your vision is at the bottom. And so there's steps to getting to that vision. It may take 3 months, 6 months, a year, 5 years to get to one piece of your vision. So for example, in my reality box, I wrote, who am I influencing? Right now, it looks like just a few people that I'm influencing or that I have an impact in. And that's okay, because eventually I feel like my influence will expand, my influence will grow. And so I need to stick to that vision, because I've shared this with many people, and they have helped me and encouraged me and pushed me to maintain and stay consistent with this, and I have done so. Now I want to say this is my 15th episode. Can you believe it? Every Thursday, 15. And even if it's not a longer episode like one of these, I definitely get on here to make sure that I communicate with folks who are a part of this conversation. So another question that I ask myself in my reality is, am I being transparent and vulnerable? And that is, another area that I have definitely tried to make sure that I allow people access. Not so much so to where I'm divulging too much information and putting other people's stuff out there, but enough to where people can relate, people can find it personable, and people can connect with the things that I'm talking about in the conversations that I have. And then lastly, as far as the workshop goes, it says your vision is intended to leave a legacy. I did talk about that with my family a few weeks back. And now that you've written your vision, Now that you've written it, others can implement it. So now that you've put pen to paper, others can be a part of that vision. Now, Scripture also says, without a vision, a people perish. So if you are the leader of your home, if you are the leader of an organization, if you are the leader of a club, if you are a leader of a business, you have to communicate your vision. You have to, and I'm not saying you have to do that by yourself. You don't have to develop that vision by yourself, but you need to make sure that you communicate it with the masses so that they get on board. Because that's the worst thing that you can do as a leader, is to have a vision and no one else is jumping on board and following to see it through. And they have to believe it at own as well. So with you writing a vision, you're leaving a legacy. You're leaving something behind after you're gone. And you want that to have some weight. You want that to have some value outside of it just being tangible or very materialistic. Oh, she dressed really nicely. Oh, I like her wardrobe. You want to say, hey, like, they made an impact when I interacted with them. They changed my life for the better. Like, they made me or helped me or saw the value in me. And they were genuine in the relationship and the connection that they had with me. Also with that, a written vision reinforces the validity of its fulfillment. It's an accountability measure both for yourself and the people who read it. So now share it. Once you've written it down, once you have identified the steps that are necessary to achieve it, share that with as many people as possible. And it's okay if those things shift, change, they need to be modified. The fact that you communicated it, somebody's going to come back to you and ask you about it. Meaning you're going to have to stay on top of it. Meaning you're going to have to be ready for an answer for it when it comes presented back into your face. And what other way to bring life to you or make life happen to yourself than to write a vision. And also, who do you think you're going to share this vision with? If you feel free to leave a comment and tell me who you're going to share your vision with. I'd love to hear it. And then also for those who are a part of the conversation, who register, I will definitely send a feedback form so that you can tell me what you thought about the presentation and how it encouraged you, or what you thought went really well, what needed improvement. But before that, I do want to share some other insights or tidbits about vision that I came across or that I developed on my own that I thought would be really cool to share with you all. A visionary has to see the vision before they can implement or involve others. So if you're the visionary of something, you have to see it come to pass. You have to see it walk in your face. You have to see it move, stretch. You have to see it do all kinds of things before you can compel others to see it with you. All right. Another thing, when you write a vision, the vision develops permanence while indicating importance. So you writing that vision, you sharing that is communicating that it's a permanent thing. It's going to stay with you. Again, it's going to evolve, but it's going to stay with you. It's something of substance, and it's important, and it's valuable. Additionally, from permanency comes consistency. You're going to follow through with it, and it's going to be consistent. And eventually progression towards implementation. It's going to be actionable. It's going to be something that's done and it's fulfilled. Third thing, as I mentioned just the other day, is that vision requires faith. Vision also requires patience, and there is a process to the purpose of fulfilling that vision. And also vision requires implementation and impact, or there is an element of implementation and impact when it comes to vision. And then lastly, I wanted to reference an author and the founder of CEO Sage. It's a transformational leadership agency, Scott Jeffrey. He quoted these three items here. Vision doesn't eliminate distraction. It inspires us to focus on what matters. So a lot of times when we are processing or working on vision, we need to be very reflective of the things that we're dealing with, or like I said, the life components or professional development or being your authentic self. We have to reflect on those things. But a lot of times we have distractions, whether that's our family, our kids, our husband, they're hungry, or we have work, or we have other things that we're dealing with that causes us to be distracted when it comes to developing our vision. But as I would say, when you communicate, once your vision is done, communicate beforehand. Hey, I need this time to set aside, whether that's you going to a coffee shop, putting some earbuds in your ear, and sitting down and writing out these very things that's going to help you to develop and create your vision. Second thing that Scott Jeffries wrote is vision provides clarity for the future while directing us to place our attention in the present. So it gives, again, clarity for the future. Like, you can see, that's what a vision is. It's foresight. You can see what the future holds, and it helps you to be more attentive to your present situation and makes you evaluate what you're doing now to get to your future. Because if you're not making any actionable steps, if you're not taking any actionable steps, if you're not making movement towards your vision, then more than likely it won't be fulfilled in the time frame that you're thinking you want it to be fulfilled, or in the place you want it to be fulfilled. So make sure that that clarity of that vision is being maintained in the present, and that you're putting attention where it needs to be so that you can grow that vision and get there. Vision is a roadmap to growth. That one, as simple as it is, a roadmap to growth. I believe everybody wants to grow. Nobody wants to stay where they're at. And if you do, that's fine. Me, I don't want to be mediocre. I don't want to be average. I want to be exceptional. I want to be great. So why would I stay settled in a space when I know that I can get growth, when I know that I can expand, when I know I can reach so many people or so many things if I decide I want to put out my vision so that I can grow with it, that I can evolve with it, that I can transform myself, transform other people's lives with the vision that I'm seeking to fulfill for myself. So I thank you all. Thank you all for being a part of the conversation. Normally it's about this time, usually between 25, 28 minutes. This happens every Thursday. It's a different conversation, but just tonight just happened to be on vision. Hey, hun, thanks for tuning in. It just happened to be on vision. So I hope you all enjoyed yourselves. If you have any comments or anything you want to share, please feel free to do so. Feel free to share this and subscribe to the channel, as more videos I will upload from last season, so that you can kind of get a little bit of a deeper understanding of Conversations Under the Palm Tree and the different things I'll be doing here. And I hope, again, you all enjoyed it and you have a wonderful evening. Now, bear with me as I close all these things out. I made such weird faces, but I hope you all have a good evening. Bye-bye.